So I have a very bad habit when it comes to watching movies and TV, and that habit is consistently watching the same things over and over again with little to no regard for the millions of titles I have yet to see. It's a sickness, I admit it, and today I've decided to try to rectify things, at least a little. Because there are a number of films out there that I am genuinely embarrassed about not having seen, whether they be film classics or movies that seem like they'd be perfect for me. For one reason or another, I have not shown them to my eyeballs yet, and for some of these, it's gotten to the point where it's laughable. So I think the only way I'm ever going to change that is if I publicly humiliate myself here and now by telling you about them. Starting with number 1, Casablanca. Last term, I took a course about French colonization and the Jewish people, for which I read and wrote a critical review on the book Years of Glory, Nellie Benatar and the Pursuit of Wartime Justice in North Africa by Susan Gilson Miller. The book examined the history of the refugee flight from Nazism between 1939 and 1945 by focusing on North Africa as a key region and the figure of Nellie Benatar, a Jewish lawyer and activist who played a significant role in the passage of these refugees. I promise this has a point, bear with me. Miller opened her study by discussing Casablanca and its portrayal of the refugee crisis in North Africa, which reminded me that I have yet to see it, which is particularly embarrassing for someone who claims to love movies as much as I do, because Casablanca is like the classic of all classics. It's heralded as one of the greatest films ever made. These characters became some of Ingrid Bergman and Humphrey Bogart's most well-known roles, and it's still cited by filmmakers today as one of the most special and timeless movies out there. As I was reading about it, I came across Robert Eggers' 1992 review of it, in which he states, "Casablanca is the movie. There are greater movies, more profound movies, movies of greater artistic vision or artistic originality or political significance. There are other titles we would put above it on our lists of the best films of all time. But when we come down to the movies we treasure the most, when we are confiding the secrets of our heart to someone we think may be able to trust, the conversation sooner or later comes around to the same 7 words. I really love Casablanca. I do too." This is a movie that has transcended the ordinary categories. It has outlived the Bogart cult, survived the revival circuit, shrugged off those who would deface it with colorization, leaped across time to win audiences who were born decades after it was made. Sooner or later, usually before they are 21, everyone sees Casablanca, and then it becomes their favorite movie. For reference, I am 22 years old. Casablanca is my white whale. It's one of the movies that's been on my to-watch list for the longest. It's the movie that dogs my days and haunts me at night. It's the movie that lives in the back of my mind rent-free. And it's the movie I am determined to watch before the year is out. Moving on. Number 2. Pulp Fiction. Oh, I am going to get ripped to pieces. This is the movie that actually inspired this video, because I have been saying that I'm going to watch Pulp Fiction for years, and I think Netflix is on the verge of removing it from its catalog, so I guess it's just never going to happen. Listen, I like Tarantino. Does he kind of give me the heebie-jeebies? Yeah. Do I think it's a red flag when a man says he's his favorite director? Absolutely. But despite this, I do like his movies. Inglourious Basterds is awesome, the Kill Bill series is great, and Reservation Dogs is one of my favorites of his. Yet the closest I've gotten to watching Pulp Fiction is watching that one episode of Community every few years. And the thing is, I'd probably really like Pulp Fiction. I like dark humor, I like violence, I like witty dialogue and distinct production design and unique story structures. It's just that sometimes the last thing I want to do is watch a 2.5-hour movie, and unfortunately, Pulp Fiction is just that. And I'd say that's the main thing that's kept me from watching Pulp Fiction to date. I'm not against long movies, but there is a time and a place, and sadly, when I find myself in a movie-watching mood, I end up leaning towards shorter ones. Also, I usually tend to watch movies with my sister, and she's already seen Pulp Fiction, which means I have to find my own time to watch it by myself. So I guess I say all this to say, it's my sister's fault I haven't watched it yet. Hey, if you're listening, this is your fault. Anyway, Pulp Fiction is now on Paramount Plus, which means I'm just not gonna watch it out of spite. Who thought Paramount Plus was necessary? Every time I see it pop up on Google as the place a movie or show can be found, I get so angry. I have less respect for Paramount Plus than I do for Crave, which is saying something, because I hate Crave. If you want more details on that, go check out my video about The Last of Us. Crave may be a disgrace, but Paramount Plus isn't even worth that title. I hate Paramount Plus more than I hate Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I hate that movie a lot. Okay, moving on. Number 3, Fight Club. I put this one after Pulp Fiction because I figured I should get the Film Bro movies out of the way altogether. I've been meaning to watch Fight Club for years and years. I don't really know why I haven't yet. I suppose one reason is because I'd like to read the book too, and I haven't yet done that. But like all of the movies on this list, Fight Club seems right up my alley. I love a good critique of masculinity, especially when that critique comes in a story or genre that is typically considered masculine. It lights up the happy part of my brain. It's like a reward. What's not a reward is the way that stories like this get co-opted by the very kinds of men it's critiquing as aspirational. This is why we need media literacy, my guys. Never let anyone tell you differently. I don't have much else to say about this one. It's a film classic, and I really should have seen it by now, but I guess that's not happening as long as I haven't read the book, so I should get on that. Moving on. Number 4, Schindler's List. It's bad that this is on the list. Believe me, I'm perfectly aware of that. Schindler's List is a movie I should have seen a long time ago. It's consistently been called one of the greatest films ever made, and it's probably important that everyone sees it at least once. I think the main reason I haven't seen this yet is because I know it will break me. Schindler's List is not a movie you can just throw on. I need to give myself at least 3 days notice before I decide to watch this, so I can adequately emotionally prepare myself. In fact, there are a ton of movies I haven't watched for this very reason. Come and See, Grave of the Fireflies, Hotel Rwanda. They're all movies I desperately need to watch, but keep avoiding because of the heavy subject matter. I know that's not an excuse. These things happened. These movies made sure to immortalize them so our memory doesn't erase them. The least we could do is sit down and watch them. I don't have much more to say about this one either. I could have seen it in high school because this is one of the films that my history teacher liked to show, but he chose to show my class Downfall instead, which is also a very good film. Check it out if you haven't seen it. But since I missed it in high school, it's been sitting in the back of my head all this time, waiting and waiting and waiting. This is one I'm going to try to see before the end of the year. It's Spielberg's masterpiece, it's gone down in history as one of the greatest films ever made, and it's about time I prepare myself to see it. Moving on. Number 5, Howl's Moving Castle. I know, don't yell at me. I already said I was embarrassed by this, okay? Everybody and their mothers loves Howl's Moving Castle, and I'm sure I would love it too if I ever got around to watching it. Studio Ghibli has been putting out some of the best animation you could dream of for decades. I actually could have put a ton of Ghibli movies in this video because, frankly, I haven't seen as many as I would like. I've seen Spirited Away and My Neighbor Totoro, but I think that's it. And that's a damn shame, because I love animation, and I especially love the way Miyazaki does it. The worlds he creates are so rich and full of whimsy. Watching one of his films is like being a child again, allowing yourself to be swept up in that wonder and fantasy that hasn't yet been adulterated by the realities of the world. And you know what? I don't have a good reason to not have seen Howl's Moving Castle yet. I've seen clips and heard parts of the score, and my god, everything tells me that I would absolutely love this movie. Also, as a writer, I feel a kinship with Miyazaki because it seems like that man cannot make a movie without making himself ill, and I understand that so hard. It makes me want to watch all of his movies even more. I need to see what that man was putting his blood, sweat, and tears into. Moving on. Number 6. Apollo 13. Okay, a little backstory. I'm a sucker for space movies. Whether they're based in reality or entirely fictional, it doesn't matter to me. Every time I watch one, I eat it up like nobody's business. I'm fascinated by space in general. I just completed 2 introductory astronomy courses to fulfill some general requirements for my degree, and I really enjoyed them, even if they did remind me how very unequipped I am to deal with anything science-related. But in other news, I can now actually understand the time dilation thing in Interstellar, rather than just being terrified and existentially dreading of it. I'm still both of those things, but at least I can explain it now. Whenever I do watch a space movie, I become obsessed with the idea of space movies for the next little while. There was a period, maybe a year or 2 ago, when I went on a space movie marathon because space operas were the only thing I wanted to watch. When I fall into a space hole, I fall in deep, and it takes a good long while before I'm able to pull myself back out again. It's for these reasons that it's kind of ridiculous that I haven't yet seen Apollo 13. It's one of the most classic space movies out there, and it's based on a real mission, one of the most famous, or I guess infamous ones. So I like space movies, I like Tom Hanks, I want to hear him tell Houston that he's got a problem, so why, oh why, haven't I seen it yet? Well, the answer is similar to my answer for Pulp Fiction. Apollo 13 is long, 2 hours and 20 minutes long, in fact, and my sister's already seen it, which means I have to carve time out to see it myself. So this one's on her too. I actually have not done anything wrong here. Okay, you know what? I've just decided. By the time you watch this video, I will have seen Apollo 13. I am sitting my ass down on the weekend and watching this movie because just writing this is itching that part of my brain that longs for space stories. So keep an eye out for a community post to confirm that I've watched it. And if you don't see one, well, that means I got caught up binging The Pit instead and Apollo 13 got kicked to the side. Happens to the best of us. Moving on. Number 7. 8½. 8½, is a 1963 Italian film directed by Federico Fellini, following a filmmaker as he struggles creatively to get his latest movie off the ground. As he continues to flail in his endeavor, his thoughts and behaviors become more and more introspective and fantastical. Okay, I'm kind of cheating with this one because technically, I have seen 8½. It was on the syllabus of an introductory film course I took a few years ago, and I was actually pretty excited to see it, especially since we saw all the movies on the syllabus in a theater. But on the day of the viewing, I don't know what happened. I was super tired, and the theater was dark, and the dialogue being in a language I had no knowledge of meant my brain could easily tune it out. Y'all, I tried so hard to stay awake. For the first 20 minutes, I was fighting for my life not to fall asleep. but I must have at some point because I woke up half an hour later and had to sit through the rest of the movie having no idea what was going on, which is bad enough for most movies, but was like a death sentence for this one, because this movie is strange. It's hard enough to know what's going on when you didn't fall asleep for half of it. Needless to say, I walked out of that theater with zero understanding of what I just watched. I feel like my experience with 8.5 does it a disservice, because this film is widely considered a masterpiece, and I could not tell you why. But I want to be in the know. I want to be as snobbish as every other film bro on Reddit, praising its incoherent style and how it reflects Fellini's own career. I want to look back at my notes from that class and actually understand them. And I want to experience more Italian films generally, and Fellini is one of the greatest contributors to it. If you want to watch 8.5, I feel it's my duty to prepare you a little. From what I remember of it, 8.5 is long. It's weird. It can be dull at times, and it won't appeal to everyone. But I think that even if you don't like a film, there's always something you can take from it. So even if 8.5 doesn't end up being your vibe, maybe you'll enjoy the cinematography, or the score, or some of the humor. Or maybe you'll just be happy that it's over. Either way, give it a chance. As for when I'm gonna watch it again, I don't know, I have to be in the right state of mind for it. But hopefully it'll be sooner than later. Moving on. Number 8. Fantastic Mr. Fox. Alright, buckle up. I remember clearly the very first time I heard about Wes Anderson. It was February 22nd, 2015. I was 11 years old, watching the Oscars with my family, and I saw clips of the Grand Budapest Hotel. I thought this movie looked so cool. I'd never seen anything like it before. That distinct style with the pastel colors and the head-on framing and the specific and charming acting. It amazed me. And I kept the Grand Budapest Hotel in my mind for years after that, until I finally sat down and watched it when I was older. And I loved it. Everything that made it stand out to me when I was 11 made the experience of actually viewing it so fun and immersive. To this day, I still love it, even though I've only seen it the one time. Which reminds me, I should give it a rewatch. Anyway, after that, I became very intrigued by Wes Anderson. I started watching his other movies. To date, I've seen Isle of Dogs, The Darjeeling Limited, The Royal Tenenbaums, The French Dispatch, Moonrise Kingdom, Rushmore, and Bottle Rocket. I really enjoyed each of them. Isle of Dogs is one of my favorites of his. I know it's not as critically acclaimed as some of his others, but it hit me in the exact right spot. I have a special place for Wes Anderson in my heart. It's been there since 2014 when I was first introduced to the Grand Budapest Hotel, and I think the mark that that movie made on me, the feeling I got when I first saw frames of it, is why I hold his movies so dear. Which is why it sucks for me to say that I am bored. I'm not the first person to express this sentiment when it comes to Anderson, and I know I won't be the last. I wholly believe that Wes Anderson is something truly special to filmmaking, not just for his distinct style, but for his characters and themes. His movies about family, connection, and human behavior are my favorites of his, and when you combine the strong emotional core he brings to his films with his charming and quirky style, it can make for a transformative viewing experience. But when the style overtakes the substance, when those quirky, charming visuals get shoved down your throat, it starts to feel sickening. Bottle Rocket was the Anderson I watched most recently, and it might be one of my favorites now. It's one of his older works, so you can see the beginnings of his visual style with the framing and the colors, but it's not all-encompassing. It's fun, it's sweet, and it complements the story. I suppose it makes sense for Anderson's more absurd works to lean heavier into his style. That's why the Grand Budapest Hotel, the French Dispatch, and I guess the Phoenician Scheme are so style-heavy. But the reason I fell in love with the Grand Budapest Hotel in 2015 was because I'd never seen anything like it before. That's no longer true. In fact, I've seen it a lot, from the same dude. It's become predictable. And as I continue to watch Anderson's backlog, I find myself drawn more to his relatively less stylistic works. The more I sit with the Darjeeling Limited, the more I like it. Moonrise Kingdom and The Royal Tenenbaums are wonderfully weird little movies that only Anderson could deliver. And I think Fantastic Mr. Fox will scratch an itch I have when it comes to Wes Anderson. I hope it'll fall into that perfect sweet spot between style and substance, visuals and emotion. It's one of his most beloved. It sounds like something I'd eat up, and I'm hoping it'll be the exact kind of Wes Anderson that I fell in love with in 2015. Moving on. Number 9. Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge. Again, I'm kind of cheating here, because I've seen parts of Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge, which I will henceforth refer to as DDLJ to avoid the mouthful that is this title. But I don't think I've ever actually watched it in its entirety, which I think is a crime punishable by death for a few reasons. DDLJ is one of the most celebrated Bollywood movies from one of the most celebrated and iconic eras of Bollywood. It was produced by Yash Chopra, who is an absolute beast in Bollywood. Seriously, Yash Chopra had an incredible career, and he's credited with significant shifts seen in the industry, such as the resurgence of romantic musicals in the late 80s and early 90s, the very resurgence that resulted in the making of the industry's most beloved romantic musical films, including DDLJ. On top of that, DDLJ is an iconic piece of Bollywood history. Starring legends Shah Rukh Khan and Kajol, the film follows Raj and Simran, two young adults who fall in love while traveling through Europe. The problem is that Simran's father has already promised her hand in marriage to a friend's son, so Raj must win her family over in order for the two of them to be together. This movie has people in a chokehold. It's the longest-running film in the history of Indian cinema, as it was still being shown in a theater in Mumbai as of March 2025, 30 years after its initial release. It also has, I'm willing to bet, the most famous scene in all of Bollywood, and one of the most famous scenes in cinema, the climactic train scene. Even if you know nothing about this film, you probably know of this scene. It's had a major impact on pop culture, both in India and abroad, as this movie started the trend of appealing Indian films to a non-Indian audience and Indian diaspora. Which is why it is truly, truly embarrassing that I've never seen the whole thing. I've seen clips, I know the music, I know the iconic musical scenes, but I've never seen the whole thing, and that's because it is a commitment. Y'all, this movie is over 3 hours long. I could only ever watch it on the weekend, and my weekends are looking pretty busy. But now that I've put this information out there, it has to happen. I need to be publicly shamed for this, because it's the only way I'm going to carve out time to watch it. So please, do your worst, because I want to watch this movie. I want to love this movie just as everybody else does, and I want to be free of the shame that I live with for not yet having seen it. Okay, there you have it. The movies that I am most embarrassed to not have seen. Hopefully, this video will give me the kick in the ass that I need in order to actually watch them. Or, who knows, maybe they'll continue to sit in my chest of shame for years to come. Either way, let me know what your greatest unseen movie shame is, and let me know why you haven't seen it. I'm genuinely curious to know. As always, thanks for watching. Until next time.